What if everything you've been told about death is a lie? What if the moment your heart stops isn't the end, but the most beautiful beginning you'll ever experience? Right now, while you're watching this, thousands of people around the world are dying, and some of them will come back with a secret that will shatter everything you thought you knew about reality. They'll tell you that consciousness doesn't need a brain, that love is the only thing that survives, that you've lived before and you'll live again. Sounds impossible? Then explain this. How do blind people see during near-death experiences? How do children recognize dead relatives they never met? How do atheists return as believers after glimpsing what's beyond? The soul's journey after death isn't a religious fairy tale. It's the most documented, researched, and verified phenomenon in modern science that mainstream media refuses to talk about. And in the next few minutes, you're going to discover exactly what happens between your last breath and eternity. But I'm warning you, once you know this truth, you'll never fear death again, and more importantly, you'll never waste another day of life. Hit that like button if you're ready for answers. Subscribe and turn on notifications because this might be the most important video you'll ever watch. Let's begin with something that will change everything. Real stories from people who died and came back. There are people who have died. Literally. Their hearts stopped, doctors declared them dead, families began to grieve. But something extraordinary happened. They came back. And they brought with them accounts that challenge everything materialistic science tries to explain. These aren't delusions or hallucinations caused by oxygen deprivation in the brain. These are experiences lived by thousands of people around the world, from different cultures, religions, and ages, who describe exactly the same thing, the moment when the soul breaks free from the body. What they tell us about that instant goes far beyond what you can imagine. Brace yourself, because this journey begins at the exact second of the last breath. But what happens next? Who waits on the other side? And why do some return while others move forward into eternity? The separation is not violent. It's not traumatic. It's like taking off a coat that no longer fits. Those who have experienced it describe a sensation of lightness, as if gravity suddenly lost its grip. The physical body, which once felt like home, becomes just a shell, an empty vessel lying still while consciousness floats above it. Some see a silver cord connecting them to their body, pulsating with energy, holding them tethered to physical life. Others feel a gentle pull, like being drawn by an invisible current towards something magnificent. The pain, the illness, the exhaustion, all of it vanishes instantly. What remains is pure awareness, crystal clear, more awake than ever before. But here's the mystery. If the soul can leave so peacefully, why does it sometimes choose to return? The light appears. Not like sunlight or a lamp. This light is alive, intelligent, radiating unconditional love. People describe it as the most beautiful thing they've ever witnessed, a presence that knows everything about them yet loves them completely. Fear dissolves instantly. Judgment disappears. What floods in is pure acceptance, a warmth that penetrates every fragment of consciousness. Some hear music so beautiful it makes earthly symphonies sound like noise. Others feel embraced by a love so profound it brings them to tears even years after returning. This isn't a religious experience reserved for believers. Atheists, skeptics, people of all faiths report the same overwhelming sensation. The light doesn't punish or condemn. It welcomes. It heals. It reminds the soul of what it forgot while trapped in flesh. But if this light is so magnificent, why would anyone choose to leave it and come back to life? You're not alone when you cross over. Beings of light emerge from the radiance. Some recognize them instantly as deceased loved ones, others as spiritual guides who've watched over them their entire lives. These aren't ghosts or phantoms. They're evolved consciousnesses radiating wisdom and compassion. They're to ease the transition and guide the soul forward. A grandmother who died decades ago appears young and radiant. A childhood friend lost too soon stands smiling, whole again. They communicate without words, through pure thought and emotion, answering questions before they're even asked. Some souls meet guides they've never seen before but somehow know deeply, as if they've been connected across lifetimes. These beings don't judge. They support, comfort, and prepare the soul for what comes next. But what exactly comes next? What awaits beyond this reunion? Then comes the life review, and it's nothing like human judgment. The soul witnesses every moment of its earthly existence, but here's the twist. It doesn't just see what it did, it feels what others felt because of its actions. Every act of kindness ripples back as waves of warmth. Every moment of cruelty returns as the exact pain it caused. There's no hiding, no excusing, no rationalizing, just raw truth. A man who bullied someone in school suddenly feels the humiliation he inflicted. A woman who showed compassion to a stranger experiences the profound gratitude she sparked. This isn't punishment, it's learning at the soul level, understanding through direct experience rather than concept. No judge sits on a throne condemning. The soul judges itself with perfect clarity, seeing patterns, lessons, opportunities missed and seized. But here's what shocks most people. What matters most isn't success, wealth, or achievement. So what does matter? What does the soul realize was truly important? Fear of death is fear of the unknown, and what if the unknown isn't terrifying at all? Every person who's returned from a near-death experience says the same thing. They're no longer afraid to die. Not because they're reckless or suicidal, but because they've seen what waits beyond. They've felt the peace, witnessed the light, experienced the love. Death stops being an ending and becomes a transition, like walking from one room into another. The body dies, yes, but you, the essence of who you truly are, continues. Understanding this doesn't make you careless with life, it makes you braver in living it. You stop postponing joy, stop holding grudges, stop sweating the small things that won't matter when your soul reviews this lifetime. The fear dissolves when you realize that death isn't losing yourself, it's finding yourself. But if we know this, why do souls choose to come back? Why return to a world of pain and struggle? The soul doesn't reincarnate randomly, it chooses. With the guidance of higher beings, it reviews lessons unlearned, karmic debts unpaid, growth opportunities not yet seized. Some souls choose to return quickly, eager to correct past mistakes or reunite with loved ones in new forms. Others rest in the spiritual realm for what feels like centuries, absorbing wisdom before diving back into physical existence. The choice isn't forced, it's made with full awareness of the challenges ahead. A soul might choose a difficult life not as punishment, but as accelerated learning. Poverty to cultivate compassion, illness to develop strength, loss to deepen love. Before birth, the soul can even preview key moments of the upcoming life, seeing crossroads and possibilities. But here's the catch. Once incarnated, memory fades. The veil drops. Free will takes over. So why would infinite consciousness trap itself in limited flesh? What's the point of forgetting everything just to struggle and relearn? Heaven isn't up in the clouds, and hell isn't down in flames. They're states of being, frequencies of consciousness. The soul exists in eternity right now, even while you read these words, but the physical mind can't perceive it. It's like trying to hear a radio station you're not tuned into. The signal exists, it's broadcasting, but you're on the wrong frequency. When the body dies, the tuning changes. Suddenly, the soul perceives dimensions that were always there but invisible to physical senses. Time stops being linear. Past, present, and future merge into one eternal now. Space becomes meaningless when consciousness can be anywhere instantly through intention alone. This is why near-death experiencers struggle to describe what they saw. Language was built for physical reality, not infinite dimensionality. Eternity isn't waiting for you after death. You're already in it, just viewing it through the narrow lens of mortality. But if we're already eternal, what's the connection between souls? How do we influence each other across this infinite existence? No soul travels alone. We're all threads in an infinite tapestry, woven together in ways the physical mind can barely grasp. Every interaction, every relationship, every brief encounter on a street corner sends ripples through the collective consciousness. The stranger you smiled at today might carry that energy forward, brightening someone else's darkness, creating a chain reaction of light. The person you hurt yesterday feels it not just in their mind but in their soul, and that wound echoes through both your spiritual journeys. Near-death experiencers report seeing this interconnection clearly, how every soul is linked, how actions in one life affect countless others across time and space. Your growth accelerates someone else's evolution. Your suffering, when transformed into wisdom, becomes medicine for souls you'll never meet in physical form. This is why forgiveness matters so deeply, why love is the ultimate currency, why cruelty creates karmic debts that must be balanced. But among all these connections, which one matters most? Which force holds the entire spiritual universe together? Love is not an emotion. It's the fundamental fabric of reality, the force that holds existence together. Every near-death account circles back to this one truth. Love is all that matters, all that's real, all that survives death. Not romantic love or sentimental attachment, but unconditional love, the kind that sees someone fully and accepts them completely. When the soul transitions, it's love that guides it home, love that dissolves fear, love that heals every wound carried from physical life. The beings of light radiate it. The life review measures it. The decision to return or move forward hinges on it. Souls who lived with open hearts, who chose compassion over cruelty, who forgave instead of harbored resentment, they transition with ease, surrounded by the love they gave multiplied infinitely. But souls weighed down by hatred, bitterness, and coldness? They experience their own self-created darkness until they finally choose love. Here's the stunning truth. Love isn't just important in the afterlife. It's literally what the afterlife is made of. So what do the world's great spiritual traditions say about this? Do they all agree? Christianity speaks of heaven and judgment, Islam of paradise and accountability, Hinduism of reincarnation and karma, Buddhism of nirvana and liberation from suffering. On the surface, they seem contradictory, but look deeper and a pattern emerges. Every tradition teaches that consciousness survives death, that actions have consequences, that love and compassion matter more than material success, that the soul's journey doesn't end with the body's decay. The details differ because each culture wrapped universal truth in its own language, symbols, and stories. Ancient Egyptians prepared souls for the weighing of the heart. Tibetan monks wrote guidebooks for navigating the bardas between lives. Indigenous shamans journeyed to spirit realms and returned with maps. Modern near-death research now confirms what mystics and sages have taught for millennia. The soul is real, death is transition, and what awaits depends on how we lived. The destination might have different names: Jannah, Shamayim, Svarga, the Pure Land, but the essence remains constant. Yet there's one practice every tradition emphasizes as crucial for a peaceful transition. What is it? Unforgiven wounds are chains the soul carries into death, and they weigh heavy in the transition. Every grudge held, every resentment nursed, every moment of self-hatred becomes a barrier between the soul and the light. People who've returned describe souls trapped in gray zones, unable to move forward because they can't forgive themselves or others, replaying painful memories in endless loops. But here's the liberating truth. Forgiveness isn't about excusing harm or pretending pain didn't happen. It's about releasing the energy that binds you to suffering. When you forgive, you don't set the other person free, you free yourself. Self-acceptance matters just as much. Souls burdened by shame, guilt, and self-condemnation struggle to receive the unconditional love waiting for them because they believe they don't deserve it. The light doesn't reject them, they reject themselves. Learning to forgive and accept yourself while alive transforms the death transition from struggle to homecoming. This is why spiritual masters emphasize these practices. They're not just for better living, they're preparation for conscious dying. But how does all of this, birth, death, rebirth, fit together? What's the bigger picture? Imagine the soul as a student in the universe's endless school. Each lifetime a semester, each death a graduation, each rebirth a new enrollment. You don't learn calculus in one day, and the soul doesn't master unconditional love, wisdom, and compassion in a single existence. Some lessons require wealth to understand generosity. Others need poverty to cultivate resilience. Some souls learn through joy, others through suffering, many through both. Death isn't failure. It's completing one chapter and turning the page. Rebirth isn't punishment. It's the soul saying, I'm ready for more, ready to grow deeper, ready to love harder. Between lives, the soul rests, reflects, integrates lessons, and plans the next adventure with spiritual guides. The cycle continues until the soul has experienced everything it needs, balanced all karmic accounts, and evolved to a frequency where physical incarnation is no longer necessary. Then it graduates to higher dimensions, becoming a guide for others still learning. This isn't endless suffering, it's infinite opportunity. But knowing all this, how should we live right now? What changes when you truly understand your soul is eternal? Knowing you're eternal doesn't make life less important. It makes every moment sacred. If the soul chose this life deliberately with full awareness of its challenges, then wasting it on fear, regret, and petty concerns is missing the entire point. Live like someone who knows death isn't the end but just a doorway. Take the risks your heart whispers about. Forgive quickly because grudges are baggage you'll carry beyond the grave. Love fiercely because it's the only currency that transfers to eternity. Pursue meaning over money, connection over status, growth over comfort. When you're lying on your deathbed reviewing this life, you won't wish you worked more hours or bought a bigger house. You'll wish you loved deeper, laughed harder, and said the important things out loud. The soul doesn't measure success by earthly standards. It measures by how much you evolved, how much light you brought, how much love you gave and received. Eternal life isn't something that starts after death. It's happening right now. You are an immortal being having a temporary human experience. So live like it. But what happens when this particular chapter ends? Let's bring this journey full circle. So here we are, at the end of this video, but really at the beginning of your awakening. You now know what happens when the soul leaves the body. You've heard the testimonies, seen the patterns, felt the truth resonating in places words can't reach. Death is not the end. It's not darkness, oblivion, or nothingness. It's liberation. It's reunion. It's coming home to a love so vast it makes earthly love look like a shadow. But here's the question that matters most. What are you going to do with this knowledge? Will you keep living in fear, postponing dreams, holding grudges, playing it safe? Or will you live like the eternal being you truly are, bold, loving, fearless, and fully alive? Because one day, maybe tomorrow, maybe in 50 years, you'll take that last breath. And in that moment, you'll review this life. You'll feel every kindness you showed and every opportunity you missed. You'll see the love you gave and the love you withheld. So let me ask you directly, when that moment comes, will you have any regrets? What would you change about how you're living right now if you truly believed your soul is eternal? Drop your answer in the comments. I read every single one, and your words might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. If this video shifted something inside you, hit that like button and share it with someone who needs this message. Subscribe and ring that bell because we're going deeper into the mysteries of consciousness, spirit, and what it really means to be human. And remember this, you are not a body with a soul. You are a soul with a body. And your journey? It's just beginning.